and there may be 100, 150 people on that call. They will say, please turn your cameras off. That's because there's so many people on that call, not that they don't want to see all our lovely faces, but that can slow the system down. So they say, turn your cameras off so that they have the right bandwidth for the meeting, okay? Then if they do a breakout session, or they may say, hey, if you're gonna ask a question, then turn your camera on so we can see you, that kind of thing. Again, if you're not in a professional setting, maybe you're on vacation with the kids on the beach and you're taking that call, you don't want to make all your coworkers jealous that you're at the beach, so maybe you don't want to turn the camera on. The other thing you can use though is backgrounds. All of these services have backgrounds that you can choose that'll put you in like an office setting or on the beach or something like that, so that everything in your background isn't seen. So if you're working from home and you don't want to have your coworkers see that you don't do laundry, but once a month it's all piled up behind you, you might want to use a background so they don't see your dirty laundry. Okay, and that goes to the next point. Be mindful of your backgrounds. Use virtual backgrounds if necessary. Now, the other thing on backgrounds is there are a lot of funny backgrounds out there too. Balloons and stars. It makes you look like you're in outer space. If you're in a professional setting, those probably aren't the right backgrounds to use. Use the ones that are more office oriented. And don't use the face recognition things that turn you into look like a cat or a dog or something like that. Those aren't professional either. So best practices, screen sharing. So that allows you, when you're in a meeting, like I'm doing now, I'm sharing my screen to the computer here. If this was a Zoom call, I would be sharing my screen so everybody could see it. That's to present document slides, browse windows, that's all live in real time. So if I wanted to cut away and do a video, I could do that and everybody would see it. But you want to know who's in charge. Some calls you are not allowed to jump on that way or share your screen because it's locked by an administrator. Other calls, anybody can present their screen if they hit the present button. Okay, and when you do that, make sure that you have pulled up what you want to share in advance and that you have a clean desktop. You don't want them seeing, again, your vacation pictures on your desktop when you're trying to navigate from presenting to the document you want to share. They're going to see everything that your computer has. Chat function. This is built into all of them. It's just like any other chat function. This is where you can talk to the moderator or other people without being in the entire group. Okay, so chat functions are used for asking questions, sharing links without interrupting. So things that we are in, typically, they may say, if you have a question, put it in chat. And then somebody is moderating chats, so they can say, oh, Spencer has a question, and then they'll talk about it. The other thing that they use it for is they may say, okay, we're going to take a break. When you come back, put your name in chat so we know you've returned. They may put a link, so they're talking about something and say, okay, our company's policies are kept at this link site. We're going to put that link in chat so everybody has it. Okay. Breakout rooms, Zoom, Google, Teams, they all have some form of breakout rooms. And what that does is allows the administrator to say, okay, we're going to break out into sessions, and I'm going to take groups of 10 and give you your own little room. And they can either monitor that by a time clock, where at the end of, for 10 minutes, you're going to be able to talk about the topic, we're going to put your breakout rooms, and then at the end of 10 minutes, it's going to pull you back in the main one, or it could be done manually. Okay. Raise hands and reactions. Again, emojis here. Never use emojis in emails. We didn't cover that. But here there are emoji signs, hands up, thumbs up, party favors. So if you're reacting to somebody, hey, congratulations, Spencer, for being Salesman of the Year, everybody can hit their little party horn and it'll throw up confetti, celebrating that. Sometimes they'll say, can you hear me? Do a thumbs up. So use those, but don't use those as your complete method of speaking though, okay? Security and privacy. Use waiting rooms. Zoom has this. Teams has lobby, but those are something in Teams you have to set up. In Zoom, it's automatic. So if you're coming into a Zoom call and the leader of the meeting isn't on, it'll say you're in the waiting room. We'll let the person know that you're there. And then when they sign on the computer, then they'll start getting notices that somebody's waiting in the waiting room. Teams, you have to set that up if you want that kind of function. Otherwise, Teams takes you right into the meeting to wait. You're in the actual meeting part. But if you want to set that up, you can set that up. Typically, this is used during interviewing, is where I see it most. You know, if you're interviewing clients or a new associate and you've got back-to-back interviews, you're going to have that incoming person go into the waiting room because you may still be talking to the other candidate, so you're going to have them sit there until you're ready to talk to them. Okay. Set passwords for meetings. That prevents unauthorized access. Obviously, you know, if you're Nestle's and you're talking about a new chocolate bar, you don't want somebody from Hershey's being able to know how to get into your Zoom meeting and be there by themselves learning about all your trade secrets. So you would set a password to get in. And lock meetings. Once the participants all have joined, restrict new entries. So there's a couple different things when you're locking in a meeting. One, you can lock anybody else from coming in. So if you're one of those bosses that everybody has to be on time, and if you miss it, you can't get in, and then I'll talk to you later, you can do that. But the other thing is you have a lot of control. So if you're the moderator and you're in that big 150 person meeting, you can lock their mics down so that they can't talk. And that keeps the noise down. Okay. Recordings and follow-up. If you want to record, it's always appropriate to ask permission before you do that to make sure that everything's copacetic and that's something that they want you to have on a save. Save and sharing recordings is used for missed sessions. Most meetings that we do in the state are recorded for legality reasons and just for the point that if somebody wasn't able to attend that meeting because we're out traveling, we can then come back and watch that. And then sending meeting notes, summarizing key points. I think that's just common business practice in most cases. If it's a training session, sending a recap of what was on there is a good thing. If it's just a weekly team staff meeting, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Any questions on video conferencing tools? Okay. This one we're covering is on key points instant messaging. So this is Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, Slack. The two common ones are Microsoft Teams and Google Chat because most companies are either on Microsoft or they're on Google. Okay. Slack is a third party that allows for more interactions. It's great if you're in teams where you're working on projects and you want to share more information or work that way. Slack's a good one. There's some others out there, but if you're just basically doing messaging, it's going to be Microsoft Teams or Google Chat. Okay. We have Teams, but we also use WebEx in the state. That's our messaging system. Call centers, a lot of people in call centers are very familiar with this kind of instant messaging because this is the way they communicate outside of the phone call, maybe with coworkers or asking a question while the customer's on the line. So some of the things that we want to think about when we're doing this, again, this is a professional setting, so we want to be very professional. Keep messages clear and concise. Avoid long, cluttered chats. You know, this isn't a place to be going and saying, hey, how was your weekend, da, 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 da. Again, it's a professional tool to use to say, hey, you know, I've got a customer on the line, could you tell me the price of XYZ? Or, hey, I've got a customer on the line, I really can't help them, can I transfer the call to you? That type of thing. We use this a lot. The other thing that these systems are used for is they're a good minder of the people that you have working to know whether they're in office or not. So that is one thing that we use it for is we know who's in the office or who's working because we'll see that they're signed in. And if we're on If we're outside traveling, we're not gonna be signed in, but whenever we stop somewhere, we have to sign in so that they know that. Use professional language, just like emails and when we're doing messaging, you wanna avoid excessive emojis, abbreviations, slang, anything like that. This is, again, a professional communication style. It may be a little more relaxed than a formal email, but it still should be very professional. Be mindful of tone. Written messages can be misinterpreted, so keep them polite and positive. That is, I think, one thing that as we've moved into more computer-based communications, that we have lost that human touch, because when you're talking to somebody face to face, you can read their body language, you can understand where they're coming from. You can't do that with a written message. So interpretation is at the reader's response. Response time, again, respond promptly, quick replies, maintain workflow. This isn't something, if I had a customer on the line and I asked Spencer for a pricing, that I can sit there and wait 10, 15 minutes for him to kind of reply or look at it. Set status updates, indicate whether you're away, you're in a meeting, you're on break, you're at lunch, if you're in a company where that is required. Now, when I consulted for CVS call centers, their teams meetings was the way they knew who was working, where they were, how fast they were working, and they had a requirement that if you got a chat, you had to respond immediately, whether you were working with customer or not. Set status updates we talked about, respect time zones. I think this is important, even in the other things we've talked about, emails and that, is know where your participant is, time zones. If you're trying to get a hold of somebody in California and it's 8 o'clock here, they're not at work. Okay, they're probably still sleeping. Organize your conversations. Use channels and groups to separate topics or departments to keep the discussions relevant. So just like you can in email, within Teams and Google and Slack, you can set up chat channels. You can set up multiple people in one category. So if you're an engineer and you need to send the information you're working on to all the engineers in the company, you can set up that distribution list that way. Direct messages for private discussions, that's DMs. Avoid unnecessary group tagging. Just like emails, don't hit reply all. Use threads, keeps discussions organized and prevents flooding chats. So again, you don't want to see somebody talking about their weekend and they're all going back and forth and just filling up the box. If it was me talking to Spencer, obviously you don't want to see that coming through yours. Using features effectively, so mention at name wisely, tag people when necessary. Use reactions instead of unnecessary replies like thumbs up for acknowledging. Because again, Teams, chat, these are things that you want fast responses on. So then it's okay to use the thumbs up like I heard you, or great, or that's okay. Pin important messages for quick references. So you can pin those messages or take them out and save them if you need to go back to them. A lot of them, like WebEx that we use, after 24 hours, everything's deleted. And that's just strictly because of the sheer size of the state of Tennessee. The server space to maintain stuff like that would be astronomical. So they allow us 24 hours to keep that, and then it'll start over. Avoid sharing sensitive information, again, especially in these kind of situations, because unless you're on a secure VPN, it's easy for people to get into these kind of systems and find information. Be cautious with external contacts. That's one thing, again, you can set that up. Within the state, we cannot chat outside the state organization. So I couldn't chat to Spencer here at the public library about something, because it's not gonna let me go outside our intranet system. But you can set that to happen, okay? And follow up with company policies, and that's on everything. Always know your company policies on all of these communication sources, so that you know that you're in compliance with what is expected of you as an employee. Now we'll talk about essential software proficiency. So this is where we're gonna just kind of breeze through and touch the base of these things. This would take a long time to kind of talk about if we got into the weeds with them. So we'll kind of cover them, and then like I said, we'll be offering some classes. But we're gonna talk about office productivity tools. Those are your functions that are word processing, your spreadsheets, your PowerPoint. Both Microsoft Office and the Google platforms all have that. They all have their pros and they all have their cons. With Microsoft, you can set to save when you're typing things. You can have it automatically save. In Google, it just is built in. It saves everything you're doing, so you don't have to worry about, oh, I forgot to save that, because it'll be there for you. So that's one of the nice things. Microsoft, in my opinion, is still probably the global leader and the one that most corporations are still using, because they do keep it up to date a lot better, and there's a lot more functionality in some of their programs. We're going to talk about cloud storage and file management, and then we're going to talk about task and project management tools. So when we look at office productivity, again, this is Word, your word processing. This is Excel, your spreadsheet, your ability to crunch numbers. And Excel is a very, very powerful tool. Do you use Excel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can do from here to there. I mean, more you know, the more powerful that tool can become. And then we talk about PowerPoint. Those are the three major things that people will use. PowerPoint is what this presentation is done in. Allows you to add graphics and bullet points and change it around and have fun with it. But there are some other tools that Microsoft and Google offer out there. Some project management tools are part of their platforms that help you manage projects, timelines, and Access, which I think now has changed, but it allows you to do some small programming to make forms. Google has Google Forms, so you can create forms, surveys, things like that through it. Then when we talk about cloud storage and file management, here we're talking about Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. These are areas that you can then take your information, save it so that it can be accessed by others to be worked on, and it becomes a living document. So if I'm working as an engineer and I'm working on a project, I can save my work to one of these open file drives, and then Spencer could then come in, see what I did, add to that, save it, and I'd come back and see what he added. So it's a good thing, but again, it's open platform. So make sure that whatever you're saving is something that you do want shared around or be that visible. You wouldn't want to keep all your work in there, obviously, but it's a good sharing type of system. We use that a lot when we're working with customers. So we know what somebody did with the customer if I'm going to go see the customer next. And then task and project management tools. These are specialized tools, usually things that you're looking for in your business because it fits the need. Trello, Asana, these are things that take project management, which you have in your productivity tools, but takes them to a hyper steroid type of situation. Allows a lot more interaction, a lot more team coordination, a lot more data processing through them. You'll see these in medical fields. You'll see these definitely in engineering projects or places that use engineering, where they're sharing all this information in big format. When you think about all the things that go out there, the one thing we don't want to miss is talking about internet and cybersecurity awareness. Okay, every company is going to have a policy on security. The state is is not shy towards this. We have a lot of security things that are put into place. But when you're looking at this, when we're looking at emails, we're looking at these platforms and open communications amongst people, it also opens up the opportunity for the players that aren't quite honest or that are looking to do damage to your company. So always make sure you're browsing safely. VPNs are available to everyone. That is one of the safety tools that you should use, because that will keep your IP address floating around so that people can't really get a true target. Now, all these things can be broken if you're smart enough, but VPNs are one of the biggest things the state requires, that we're always on a VPN regardless of where we are. When we're at the offices, we're on a closed network, so we're safe. But if I go here to the library and I get on the library website, if I'm not on my VPN, I'm vulnerable, because anybody might be tapping into the internet here because it's open, and then they could steal information. Okay. Be aware of phishing. Phishing is where people send emails looking for information. It could be, hey, your bank account got stolen, this is Bank of America. Click on this link and we're gonna help you fix it. Never, ever, ever respond to any of those kind of things, because what you're doing is that link is gonna do something bad, either to your information, or it's going to get into your company's security systems or into your computers and steal a lot of bad information, okay? These are why we have so many issues in the world today with information being stolen, because it's usually somebody getting something into the system so they can access and take out what you got. So a lot of companies, I mean the state, most companies I've worked for in my past, they will test their employees. They will send out a phishing email internally to see if you open it or if you report it. So never look at anything like that. If you don't know who it's from, it's not a reliable source, or it's something that is just unbelievable. You know, I'm the king of Saudi Arabia and I got $1 million I want to give you, but you need to contact me. That's not going to happen, right? Password management. Use good passwords. Passwords can easily be figured out, you know, by the criminals. You know, don't use your birthday. Don't use your social security number. Don't use your home address. Don't use your child's birthday. Make them something that is very difficult to get past. The state went from an 8-character password to an 18-character password that we are required to use. That's a lot to remember, especially at my age, but that's what we have. It doesn't allow for repeated characters. It doesn't allow for repeated alphanumeric. So you got to put a lot of thought process behind your password just to get into your computer. And two-factor authentication is a big thing. And these are the things you see when you're signing in, where it says, hey, match this puzzle piece, or type in this cryptic word, or we're gonna text you a passcode to put in, something like that. That's two-factor authentication. That's good. That should, you'll see that a lot with your banks and that. Protecting personal and company data, utmost important. You do not want to be the employee that allowed the entire company to fall down around you because you opened that email because you wanted that discount coupon for, McDonald's hamburgers. Okay. So some of the common security things are phishing. We talked about malware attacks, where they'll actually go in and attack your computer. Denial of service attacks, where they're going to lock your systems down and say you're not authorized to get in. Ransomware, this is where somebody takes over your entire computer system, locks all your data down until you pay them an exorbitant amount of money. Man-in-the-middle attacks, that's where, I'm the Saudi king, I'm looking to give you a bunch of money and I need you to reach out. And then SQL injections, where we're actually going in and writing code into programs that is going to alter something or provide information out to another system without anybody knowing it. Okay, so, and with the advent of AI, which we talked about earlier, a lot of these things become a lot easier to do. So here's a video we're gonna watch.
This is a cyber criminal, a nasty piece of work. He is currently trying to hack into an unsuspecting social media manager's accounts for sensitive information. He is Cyberto. However, it doesn't take an evil genius to figure out that there are some passwords that are highly predictable and unfortunately common. ABC123, QWERTY, Password 1, and many others are examples of this. He frantically attempts each one of them, one after another, into Josie's password field for her email. Aha! Looks like you may have underestimated Josie there, Cyberto. Her account remains secure. Unless, of course, she has left an alternate way of guessing her password on her public social media. Oh no! Josie's publicly shared obsession for this pop star is an easy assumption for what she might use as her password, that anyone after a simple Google search of her name can see. Oh, and now he's in. Oh goodness, look at all that data that he's managed to come across. The file names to those attachments. Could you sound more juicy? At the click of a button, these are downloaded and company data has been compromised. Being the social media manager, Josie runs other social media accounts for the company. Let's hope she hasn't used the same password for them. Looks like she did. So how could Josie have been more secure when creating her accounts? As opposed to birthdays, pets, interests, etc., it's better to have a password that isn't directly linked to publicly obtainable information about yourself. This time, Josie comes up with 3 random words. Blue ampersand Kentucky 48. Ah, now that's a strong password. Just avoid writing them down and displaying them. Let's see Cyberto try to guess that now. Though he's clearly struggling a lot more than before. It's not impossible for it to come by pure chance. See? Luckily though, Josie also has 2-factor authentication turned on. This means that instead of letting Cyberto get into her emails, the email service asks for a code from an authenticator app to confirm her identity. She should take this opportunity to change her password. Follow the game, Cyberto. Never use generic passwords like ABC123 or Password 1. Don't use any personal information like birthdays or pet names in passwords. Avoid writing down passwords or sharing them between colleagues. Turn on 2-factor authentication.
The last thing we're going to talk about is LinkedIn. We're going to talk about this because this is a great networking tool that's out there. We've talked about this in previous sessions, especially during resume writing. LinkedIn is probably, well, it is the most professional social media app out there. And I highly recommend that if you're looking for work or if you are a professional, you have a LinkedIn profile. So building a LinkedIn profile is fairly easy. You go to their website, LinkedIn, and you can set up your profile. You can attach a picture. You can put in a elevator pitch, what we call a little brief overview of who you are. You can put your resume in there, past jobs you worked at, and then you can start building networks. Do you have LinkedIn? No. Okay. It really is a good tool for the professional world. If you're looking for work, it's a great one to have because a lot of businesses look at LinkedIn and they will send you notifications saying, hey, I think this job would be perfect for you based upon other jobs you've had or on how you've written your profile. And it's personal branding, and that's what resume is about anymore. It's about branding yourself because when you're out applying for jobs, you're doing it online. You're doing it through Indeed or Monster.com or Jobs for TN, and you're putting your application out there. They use algorithms, so they're looking for keywords, and if those keywords aren't in your resume, it's going in the trash. You're never being seen by the employer. But the other thing is that what your resume is it's your marketing tool for you. It's become very important in today's web-based world that you market yourself right, and LinkedIn does that. We're not paid by LinkedIn, so I'm not trying to sell it as a program, but it is a good social tool. It's a good way to brand yourself. Got a little video about what it is.
When it came time to take things to the next level, I knew that I had to make a website, and Wix was perfect for that. I'm Josh Harmon. I'm a musician, I'm a content creator, and I'm a sound effects artist. I wanted to create videos as universal as possible that had no language in them so that anyone could enjoy them, and that was how I came up with the idea to do sound effects. I took cartoons and I used my drum set and the instruments, and I recreated all the sound effects to the scene where they're cooking up some soup. From the moment I uploaded this video, I just feel that something was a little bit different. It was insane. It was 25 million views on Instagram. I really didn't know what to do, and it was my grandma. She just turned 99. She said, "You got a good idea. Now's the time to focus and just keep doing it." Now I have over 20 million followers across my social media channels, and each of my videos gets millions of views. As my brand continues to grow, creating a website is the natural next step, and so I made a website on Wix. I wanted the website to really represent me and my entire brand, and it perfectly matched the tone that I was trying to get, which is playful yet professional. When the website came together, I had a similar feeling to how I feel when I've gotten that perfect take on one of my videos. I had a big smile on my face, and I just was like, oh my god, this is perfect.
The start of that sunshine double, BB&P Paragon opens. Welcome to Miami News. The top star are set to shine once more.
It is paradise, the weather is great, and the fans are great.
The best tennis players in the world. It's heating up in Miami. I was one playing in front of an American crowd.
Is that LinkedIn helps you show off your skills and credentials. Your LinkedIn connections can endorse the skills you list on your profile. And you can use the same for them. This is a way to show potential employers and people to vouch for your abilities. Another feature is that companies can post job listings on LinkedIn, and you can apply for these jobs on the site as well. Or if you're running a business yourself, you can post job openings to find new employees. The next feature will help you get job advice from other people in your field of work. You can join groups of people with similar jobs or skills and discuss professional matters that relate to your career. You might even gain knowledge and advice that will help you take your career to the next level. The last feature I'll talk to you about is getting the latest business news. You can keep up to date with workforce and business news on LinkedIn from your contacts or directly from LinkedIn. If you'd like to learn more about LinkedIn and how to use it, check out our free LinkedIn course on techfingers.com.
LinkedIn is really fairly self-explanatory and user-friendly. It's been around for at least 15 years, and it has a huge platform of people. And like I said, it's a good way to network because you can see people on there that have the same interests or same jobs as you, and you can communicate with them. And I've seen a lot of people get jobs because they're on LinkedIn. So, are you working? You looking for a job?
No, I'm looking for a job, sir.
Okay. And what kind of job are you looking for?
Well, anything in accounting, finance,
Okay.
that's what I was doing. I used to work at Bucky's in Crossville,
Okay.
so that was like cashier job.
Okay. And you have a degree in
I'm
accounting?
trying to find something which is what I want to do,
Okay.
finance, accounting job.
Did you go to school for that? Or,
Well, yeah, I've got like the associate level qualification.
okay. All right. You'd be a good candidate to join LinkedIn, so I would highly recommend checking that out. Because then you can you say, you know, I'm associate degree in accounting, how many years experience, you can sell that story out there, and people, they do look for LinkedIn people to send jobs.
No, my problem is the age is always a factor because
Okay.
because now I'm 58, so it's very difficult to.
Oh, you're just a baby. You know, age, what we tell people, and when I call you seasoned, not old, but seasoned, is that employers right now really are not concerned about age like they used to be, because it's so hard to find good people to work in the workforce. Younger people today come and go. You know, they just,
Because I am from the old school, so I don't know how to do networking and all. Because nowadays youngsters,
they
on
have
LinkedIn,
that.
They have like they know each other, so they can get in anywhere easily. For us,
Right.
it becomes very difficult because we used to apply for a job, looking at an advertisement or something like that. So it's from the old school that we come from.
And you go in, you do the application, usually you can hand somebody and they talk to you right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, but there are jobs out there, and don't let age become a barrier, because it really is not anymore. I'd say 10 years ago, yeah, you know, people in our age would maybe have a little more difficult time getting a job, and not because of our age so much as it is the experience, and companies thinking, oh boy, you know, that guy's got a lot of experience and I'm not gonna be able to afford them, so I'm not gonna look at them. ADA, you know, there's labor laws, they can't discriminate because of age, so, but like I said, today, the younger generation, they hire people, they're there for 2-3 weeks, a month, 6 months, then they're on to the next thing. And companies are getting tired of that because it's costing a lot of money in training, and they're not getting consistency. So now is a great employment opportunity time for people that are seasoned, that are you know, that has that experience, and that are older, like us, to get jobs, because they're looking for that stability. They're looking for that old school type of ethics and workforce. So I would suggest, look at your resume, because when you apply online, they use algorithms, like I was mentioning. So when you look at a job, let's say it's Buc-ee's, okay, and it says qualifications, want somebody that's good with customer service, cash handling, and organizational skills. That's what Buc-ee's is saying they want. You want to make sure those 3 things are in your resume, either as skills or within your objective for a job, because when you apply through Indeed, Indeed's going to say, okay, these are the 3 things that Buc-ee's is looking for. Does this resume have that? Nope. To the trash it goes. They're only going to send on the candidates that have those things listed to be looked at, and then they're going to rank those. So maybe it's, you have to have 2 out of 3, or you have to have 3 out of 3. So even if you only have 1 or 2, your application may still be going in the trash, your resume, and nobody's ever going to see it. You may be the perfect candidate, but they're never going to know you, okay, because of the way technology works. So you want to have a good foundational resume, and you got to make it a living document. You know, if you're applying generally for like accounting, they're all probably looking for the same skill, right? So you can have a resume for that, but you still want to look at those objectives that they're asking for. But if you say, okay, I can't find an accounting job, so I'm gonna look at being a bank teller, well, then you may have to adjust your resume, because those skills here may not be the skills they're looking for. So you may have to kind of adjust it. So that's where I would start, and get a good resume. There are great programs out there to help you do that. It'll help you write a resume without spending money. Okay, you don't need to go out and hire a professional resume writer and pay him $100 an hour. And have you used AI? Are you familiar with AI?
Yeah, sometimes the ChatGPT is.
Yeah. ChatGPT is the safest one to use, but you can take a job, if you see a job on accounting, just plug that into ChatGPT. Say, write me a resume for this position, paste their qualifications that they're looking for in there, and then paste your resume or your background, your jobs and your schooling and all that in there, and it'll create you a nice resume targeted to that job. So that's a great thing to do, doesn't cost you any money, okay? So look at that. And then, like I said, because you're looking for something in a professional thing, join LinkedIn. Doesn't cost you money to become on there. Now, they do have some services that cost, you know, if you want to look at their jobs and things, they'll charge for that. But to set up your profile and be in the social network doesn't cost you anything. So go on there. You can have ChatGPT help you write your objective statement of who you are, what you're looking for. You can push that resume that you created in there, and you will see people start looking for you because they're looking for that quality person. Have you thought about working in a bank?
No, because normally the banks, they look for bank experience, people with bank experience, isn't it? So
Okay,
yeah, I'm more from work for small companies, you know.
okay,
So they look at your background, what is your experience.
all right.
So I tried banks, but I never got a call from the bank. So
Okay.
normally they ask for what kind of experience, whether you have worked in the banks earlier.
All right. Do you know how to take your experience and make it what they're looking for? You know how to spin, so you've got cashier, you've got cash handling skills.
Yeah.
So,
It's like more like customer services.
and you got that, right? Because you work at Buc-ee's. So if I was a bank person, I said, well, do you have any banking experience? You could say, no, I don't, but I do have cash handling experience through retail, and I'm also good at customer service. And those are two things I know as a bank you're looking for. You know, you gotta sell yourself, and you can put those spins on that, to where they'll go, you know, what's important to me is the guy's great, has great attitude and great customer service, so the rest I can teach him. See what I'm saying? So I know Wilson Bank is looking down here in Jefferson. And then always follow up. That's what I tell everybody. That's probably one of the things that lacks anymore. So if you have an interview, make sure to get the person that's interviewing their name or their email and send them a thank you a day later. Hey, thank you for your time. That'll go a long ways, especially when we're thinking, you know, we're too old to work. Young kids aren't doing that. They're going to the interview, and they're going on there, and they don't even care or think about it. So that's a huge thing. It really makes you stand out because people be like, wow, that guy took the time to respond back to me. He must really. Okay. Do you have any disabilities?
Sorry?
Do you have any disabilities?
No.
Okay, all right. Have you gone through the AJC American Job Center?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You could go there, they can help you with a resume, they can help you with Indeed, things like that. You're more than welcome to come over and see me, I can help you with that on a side level. We just can't help you find the job, but they can, but I can help you with the resume and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, but there is a job out there for you, believe me. Don't let the age be the factor, because it really is not. You know, look at state jobs. They're always hiring financial people. You live here?
Yeah, I live here. Yeah.
Okay, are you flexible to,
Yeah, I'm flexible. Yeah.
so could you go to Nashville?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
go to Nashville.
Okay, yeah, so look at, this is my card.
Mm-hmm.
Google state jobs, Tennessee. There's a website it'll take you to where they post all their jobs. They're always looking for accounting people up there. And just apply for those. You can break it down by county, and the reason I ask, because most of those jobs are in Nashville, most of the county positions. That once in a while they'll get things outside the area, and you can see by counties, but in these more rural counties like Putnam, those jobs don't exist out here. Now, they are looking for SNAP, a person to work at SNAP in Cumberland County right now, and that's food stamps. So you'd be an agent, people come in applying for benefits and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that position's open here in Cookeville.
Mm-hmm.
They just moved to a new building, so that's a good state job.
Okay.
You
So
know,
I should be able to find on the website.
yeah, just Google, cause I can't remember the exact website, cause if you type Tennessee state jobs, it'll take you to Jobs for TN, which is like monster.com. You wanna Google state jobs for Tennessee, it'll take you to the state website. And it'll say, are you a existing employee or are you somebody looking? You wanna hit the looking one. And then you can look by county, by job, by, division, and to find those jobs. So, and one of the divisions is finance. So, the other thing you could do, would be to go to tech during one of their career fairs. And I think they just have.
I've already been for an interview in tech.
Okay, now, well, they have a job fair. They have job fairs, bring in all kinds of employers. You can go in, you don't have to be a student. And I know the state of Tennessee finance is there, there's a lot of businesses there. And they have those every quarter. You'll usually, if you drive by, you'll see they'll have a sign up that says career fair. And they have it down at the basketball stadium. And you can just go in.
Yeah, I've seen the job fair, but I thought it's only for the students over there.
No, you can go in and walk around and talk to employers. The target is for the college students, and a lot of them are looking for college interns and that. But I've seen people go in there and say, hey, I'm not a college, I'm looking for an intern job. And they'll go, well, we do have this job and this is what. So they will talk to you, and if there's positions, they may be positions they're not advertising for the students because they're looking for different subset. But the ones I've been to, they've had well over 100 companies. Now some of them are out of state, and some of them are big engineering firms and things, but the state's always there. Target's been there, the banks have been there, so there's a lot of good.
Great, that's good.
Okay. But feel free to call me if you need something. We want to help you. We can get you linked with AJC. We're all state, so.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you very much. Because
All right.
that is what I was trying to meet people. Trying to.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the reason I came here. I thought, I'll meet people over here so we can do
Exactly.
some networking.
Exactly.
So anyways, it was good to meet you.
That was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
And please,
You understand things.
this is what we do, so don't be shy. It's, we want everybody to be successful, so.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming.